It was one of those rare days where fame and innocence met in the same corridor, where the hum of a film set softened into the bright chatter of a playground. Alina Boz and Alp Navras, together with the cast and crew of their latest drama, set aside cameras and lines to spend a full day at a local elementary school, turning an ordinary weekday into something the children would talk about for months. They had planned it quietly as part of a charity and awareness initiative, but for both of them it was also a promise kept, an effort to give time, attention, and encouragement to kids who needed to be told that their dreams mattered as much as anything airing in prime time. When their van pulled up to the school gates, the staff tried to hold back the wave of excitement, but it was impossible to contain. Word had already spread through the classrooms that Alina and Alp were coming. Even before they stepped inside, curious faces peeked through windows, and the slightest glimpse of that familiar smile or that distinguished silhouette sent a ripple of whispers down the hall. The moment the couple crossed the threshold, the building came alive with applause. Little hands clapped as if the sound itself could capture this memory and keep it safe forever. Alina moved first, her instinct guiding her to the smallest kids. She knelt to meet their eyes at the level of crayons and shoelaces, her voice playful and patient. Alp followed, shaking hands, offering warm greetings to teachers and older students, his calm presence balancing the rush of excitement. You could see in the way they looked at each other that they had discussed this day in detail, that they were determined to make it about the children rather than the press. In the foyer, surrounded by a colorful collage of drawings and handwritten notes, Alina told the kids that their laughter was the best soundtrack any show could have. Alp added, with a grin that lit up the crowded space, that they were honored to be the ones visiting the real stars of the future, the ones who would make tomorrow smarter, kinder, and braver. The school had prepared a small assembly in the auditorium, a room that usually hosted spelling bees and parent meetings, but today felt like a festival. The principal introduced the guests, but the speech quickly gave way to cheers. Alina stepped to the microphone and spoke lightly about her own childhood, how a teacher once told her that curiosity was a superpower, how she learned to listen to her heart even when she was nervous. Alp followed by encouraging the students to work hard and not be afraid of failure. He said that every set, every scene, every rehearsal only meant something because you got up and tried again. The kids listened, eyes bright, as if this moment were a window and they were peering into a future where effort could move mountains. Then the formality ended and the fun began. In the courtyard, Alp joined a friendly football match organized by the older boys, who seemed half-stunned and half-determined to impress. He laughed every time a pass surprised him and clapped for each goal that wasn't his. When he scored, he lifted his hands in mock triumph, only to toss an exaggerated victory bow toward the line of children shrieking with laughter. While he sprinted in the late morning sun, Alina gathered the girls and some of the younger boys under the shade of a tree and learned a short dance the students had prepared. They taught her the steps, and she made a couple of intentionally silly mistakes on the beat, turning her own missteps into a lesson on trying without fear. Soon the crew joined in, clapping along as the kids staged an impromptu recital that seemed to keep getting better with every attempt. Between games and dances, Alina and Alp wove through the crowd, greeting students one by one, asking their names, what subjects they loved, what stories they dreamed of writing themselves. They shared small behind-the-scenes anecdotes from their drama set, how a scene that looked serious on screen had everyone giggling between takes, how costumes sometimes had hidden pins to keep them perfect, how the lights always felt warmer when the crew cracked a joke just out of frame. The students soaked up these tiny secrets as if each one were a treasure, proof that the magic on television was made by people who laughed, learned, and kept going. Inside a classroom, Alp sat on a tiny chair meant for first graders and listened to a boy describe a science project about planets. Alina knelt beside a girl who shyly confessed that she wanted to be a writer but didn't know if anyone would read her stories. Alina told her that stories find their readers when they're written with a full heart, that the right words have a way of traveling farther than we expect. Alp chimed in, "It's the trying that makes you brave." The teacher standing by the door wiped away a tear, and nobody pretended not to notice. Lunchtime brought more noise and more delight. The couple joined the children in the canteen, not at a special table but right in the middle. They traded jokes about mystery vegetables and compared favorite desserts. Someone dared Alp to try the sour candy hidden in a goodie jar, and he made a dramatic face that had the entire table howling. Alina, laughing so hard her shoulders shook, promised she would get revenge by challenging him to the next dance routine. Throughout the day, the drama team distributed gifts the school had requested: notebooks with bright covers, packs of colored pencils, drawing kits with markers and pastels. Each item felt like a small door opening, a hint of possibility. Alina and Al personally handed out little goodie bags, their hands moving fast to reach as many kids as possible, but never rushing the conversation. Nearly every child got a selfie, some got two, and a few lucky ones chattered in the background of the couple's short videos as if they were guest stars. The laughter in those clips was the kind that couldn't be staged. At one point, as they paused near a bulletin board covered in paper hearts, Alina glanced at Alp and said softly that she had come to encourage the children, but it felt like the children were the ones building her up. Alp nodded, his smile turning thoughtful. He replied that days like this reminded him why he loved storytelling in the first place, because it made spaces where people felt seen, where hope could stretch its legs. Meanwhile, members of the crew caught candid moments on their phones, Alina bending to tie a shoelace for a child too shy to ask, Alp letting a boy drape a team scarf around his neck, the two of them exchanging a quick look when a class burst into a perfectly off-key rendition of a favorite theme song. By mid-afternoon, those clips were already traveling through social media, bouncing from account to account. Without any official announcement, hashtags started trending, and the comments sections turned into galleries of gratitude and delight. Fans praised them with a kind of affection that felt personal. One post read that this was exactly why the couple had so much support, not for their beauty or the brilliance of their performances alone, but for how they treated people who had nothing to offer but a smile. Another message said that the way they spoke to the children showed what kind of hearts they carried, that kindness was their most convincing role. People who had grown up watching their shows wrote that seeing them in a school like this made everything feel more possible. Even skeptics found themselves nodding along with the footage, the sincerity difficult to deny. Inside the principal's office later that day, the walls lined with certificates and framed class photos, the couple took a brief break. The principal thanked them on behalf of the school, not just for the gifts but for the time spent, the way moments had been lingered over rather than hurried past. Alina admitted that she had been nervous about whether the visit would feel genuine to the children. Alp said the kids had made that worry disappear in the first 5 minutes. The principal asked them to sign a guest book, and they both wrote quick notes, Alina reminding students to stay curious, Alp urging them to keep reading, keep playing, keep asking questions. Back out in the courtyard, the day rounded off with a group photo. Teachers and crew arranged the children into tidy rows that quickly erupted into giggles, and Alina and Alp slipped between them, leaning down so every face could be seen. In the final shot, captured just as the sun tipped into late afternoon, the camera framed a sea of grins and waving hands, with the couple at the center, their expressions as open and unguarded as the kids around them. If you stared long enough, you could almost hear the cheers still bouncing off the brick walls. Before leaving, they promised they would return. It wasn't a line for the press, it was something they told the children directly, assuring them that this wasn't a one-time cameo. They encouraged everyone watching, parents, neighbors, viewers online, to support children's education, to donate time, books, attention, whatever they could spare. On the way back to the van, a little boy ran up with a note he had scribbled in pencil, a lopsided heart around the words "thank you." Alina put the paper in her bag like it was priceless. Alp told the boy to save that passion for everything he did, that he should keep writing notes to the world. By evening, the visit had slipped into the rhythm of countless timelines. Clips of the football match landed next to photos of Alina's dance attempts. Stories described how a simple school day became a celebration. Commenters wrote that the couple remained grounded despite fame, that they had never forgotten where their support came from. Others pointed out that this kind of outreach mattered more than any red carpet, because it met people where they were, at lunch tables and chalkboards, at the exact moment when a kind word could shape the direction of a dream. Sitting together later that night, Alina and Alp replayed snippets on their phones, still laughing at the way the kids had chanted their names off-beat, still marveling at how contagious joy could be when it didn't care about looking perfect. They agreed that the day had given them something they didn't expect, a reminder that their work resonated beyond ratings and awards, reaching into spaces where hope needed a little nudge. They said, almost at the same time, that they had meant to inspire, but it turned out inspiration traveled both ways. In the end, the school kept a copy of the group photo in the main corridor, right next to a display of the students' artwork. The children walked past it every morning, pointing out their own faces and the two familiar figures in the center, remembering the way a regular day turned into a story worth telling. And somewhere on a set where lights hummed and scripts flipped, Alina and Alp carried that memory with them, letting it color the scenes they shot, the lines they delivered, the choices they made when the cameras weren't rolling. It was a day where celebrity loosened its grip and goodness took the lead, where applause came from the purest place. It was a day to hold on to, the kind that proves fame can be soft around the edges when it makes room for simple gestures, a high five, a shared laugh, a promise to return. When the curtain fell on the afternoon, nothing flashy remained but the echo of contentment, that quiet certainty that the best stories are the ones where everyone leaves feeling a little bigger inside. And that was the magic of it, a visit that felt honest, two actors choosing to show up as people first, a school full of children who believed them. While the posts and headlines continued to spin, the memory that stayed was an uncomplicated one: how kindness tasted like sweet tea in the cafeteria, how hope sounded like chanting in a hallway, how love looked like two hands passing a notebook to a child who couldn't stop grinning. For Alina Boz and Alp Navras, it was more than a photo op. It was a promise that they would keep finding ways to bring light to places that deserved to shine.